Hey guys, Preston here. Welcome back to another video. Today we are breaking down new Notre Dame 2022 running back commit 4-star Jadarian Price out of Denison, Texas. This is kind of our breakdown / analysis sort of kind of video about the commitment. I did one of these with Tyson Ford already. I think it's something I'm going to continue to do as Notre Dame gets more commits throughout the class. Hopefully they all are awesome. So, yes, this is Jadarian Price. This is, like I already mentioned, he's a running back out of Texas, a 4-star. He committed to Notre Dame a couple days ago. It might have been, I'm filming this on the 23rd and uploading this on the 23rd. I think he committed yesterday. No, he committed on the 21st, so sorry, it took a couple days to get this video out. What was kind of surprising is he only held the Notre Dame offer for a couple weeks before he decided to commit to us, which was cool. Yeah, let's see. He's a very good player, man. We'll kind of like I did last time with Tyson Ford, I'm going to get a little bit into just his numbers. So like high school stats that I could find, height, weight, and then his recruiting rankings from, multiple recruiting services. He can kind of pick which one you agree with. It's also kind of fun just to see, like, you get kind of a scale when you look at all the most of the services, because you end up with, the high end from someone, and then, what someone thinks his basement, or like what his lowest rating is through a service. So we'll look at that as well. I don't know if it does anything, but okay. Yeah, so we got ESPN, Rivals, and 247 to look at. We'll start with 247. 247 is generally the site that I use and prefer. The composite is generally, quote unquote, like the best kind of actual one to choose, because it takes into effect all the different services that I mentioned already, and it kind of gives you a kind of like an average kind of deal. And so when you look at the composite, which is kind of like an average of everything, he's a .9239 4-star. So he's a 4-star pretty solidly. 8.9 is like the bottom, is like a low 4-star, quote unquote, in 247. So 9.2 means he's pretty firmly entrenched as a 4-star. Doesn't seem like he'd go down at any point. Ranked as the 195th player nationally, so that's cool right there. That he's a top 200 player in the composite, which is like is what you want to see. That's a talented player. I know Notre Dame fans always want to complain sometimes, where it's like, we never get enough 5-star guys and stuff. But this is still a 4-star running back, and he's a top 200 player. When you think about it in the grand scheme, there's a lot of high school players that get recruiting rankings, and so being top 200 is pretty impressive, especially for this kid who is very solid. And then, let's see. Then he was ranked the 21st running back overall and the 29th player in the state of Texas. And obviously, there's a crap ton of talent in Texas. So it's all kind of interesting. I'd have to check, but I don't know. Notre Dame doesn't land a lot of kids from Texas. So maybe that's something to keep an eye on. I noticed this class and last class, it feels like we've been offering more Texas kids. And so, landing him, you may not think about it much, but it might actually just help. It might be good for our recruiting in the state of Texas. It's nice to land a kid from a state we don't get very many prospects from, obviously. There's a lot of talent in Texas. Notre Dame more recently has been kind of dipping into Georgia. Like, I think we had 3 Georgian commits in the 21 class. Obviously, one of our best players on the team, Kyle Hamilton, also came from Georgia. There's just, we're dipping into these talent-rich states, and it's good to establish connections down there, because as much as I love my home state of Indiana, it's, top talent, it usually is down in those, Georgia, Florida, Texas, and you gotta make inroads to those states to be successful in college football. And Notre Dame's starting to, hopefully this is the start of them getting a footprint in Texas. They've already kind of established one in Georgia, like I said. We need to get some more guys from Texas and Florida. Anyways, continuing on, he's listed as 5'11" by 247 and 180. I'm going to go with 180. Some places have him at 175. It really doesn't matter, because this is a pretty typical case of, you get him in your team and put him through a training program, and he won't be 180 anymore. If you're worried about his weight and you're like, that's too light or something, He'll go through a college football training program. Notre Dame's been pretty solid at developing players. We'll pack some muscle on this kid no matter what. So, plus, obviously being in the 22 class, he's still a junior. He still has a whole other season. He could bulk up anything. Just, his rating could go up too. There's a lot of stuff, or down hypothetically, but probably more likely to go up. A lot can happen in a whole season. And so, I think by the time he's playing ready, he'll weigh more than that. But doesn't really matter at the moment. I think Jadarian is very talented, and he will be a solid running back for us. It's just a matter of when. I don't think he'll be an impact kind of freshman player. He won't be like a Chris Tyree playing as a true freshman or a Kyron Williams playing as a redshirt freshman. I think he'll have to sit a bit, obviously. There's guys ahead of him. We know this. Kyron Williams, I think he can technically leave after this season, but if he comes back, obviously he will be the starter. One Price is a freshman in 22. And Chris Tyree is only a true freshman, and he's looking more and more, he'll get a starting shot, I'd imagine, right after Williams leaves. And then obviously behind him, Sebo will graduate before these guys, so he'll probably be out of the picture. But he'll still be around for a little bit, taking a place that Price or some of the young guys could do. But after that, obviously, in the 21 class, which I will have a video about, which isn't up yet, but we have the 4-star Audric Estime, who's a beast, and an underrated 3-star in Logan Diggs. So Price might have to wait a while to get a starting job. That's pretty typical with Notre Dame running backs. I don't know if you noticed. For a long time, up until Williams and Tyree, most of our running backs, they'd be seniors starting. They wouldn't start till they're seniors, and that's maybe not always what you want, but it just means you're deep enough at that position. And it seems like it's just a situation that Price might not see a lot of playing time till he's like a junior or a senior, and he might get redshirted, which I like redshirting guys. I don't know how much they like it, but it just makes sense sometimes. He seems like a good redshirt candidate just based off the depth we have at that position, but you never know. Sometimes you can't deny talent. If he just balls out at practice or something, I'm sure he'll see the field. 5'11", so not super tall, not dumb short either, though. I mean, the kid's... It's hard to describe his running style. They call him an all-purpose... Rivals has him as an all-purpose back. 247 just has him as a regular running back. I think he's... kind of just shows he's a shifty guy, but there's power there still. I've seen some people comment that he kind of does run like a Kyron Williams does, which, obviously we're not saying he's Kyron Williams right away or something, but you know what I mean, where he can make people miss, and he's agile like that, but he does like being physical too, and with runs up the gut and stuff like that. He's a good balanced running back, which is usually what you want to see. I know some people want more of that bruiser type, or some people want more of that Darren Sproles type. He's kind of an in the middle guy, which isn't bad. Sometimes you want the best of both worlds. And technically, I mean, we got a bruiser already in the 21 class in Audric Estime, so you didn't need another one. Price is just a nice balanced kind of running back, if you ask me. Then continue on with these recruiting rankings. 247, so not the composite, which averages a bunch of other sites, including 247s. Just 247s has him as a 94 star, so a little lower. 225 nationally, so just outside the 200 in their national rankings, and still the 21st running back though. So they just value other positional players ahead. Not horrible. Like I said, still a 4-star. 4 stars is what you want to see. I mean, and there's still upside here. I believe he missed the season. COVID, stuff like that. Injuries, I believe, also were involved. I'll have to look. I swear I saw at some point he missed or had limited reps in the season due to an injury, which obviously can hurt your rating. And then not being able to go to camps and stuff throughout 21 due to COVID also could hurt your ability to move up, but already being a 4-star is a pretty good sign for him. Now we'll look at what Rivals says. Rivals has him as a 5'8", which is a pretty entrenched 4-star. I think it's technically a high 4-star is what they'd have it. They have him at 230 nationally, so also just outside the top 200. But like I said, in that composite ranking, which is the main one I go off of, he's still a top 200 player. In worst case, you say he's top 250. He's still very talented. They actually have him as an all-purpose back, like I mentioned, and as the 6th ranked all-purpose back. So if you look at him as just an all-purpose back, he's the 6th best one in the country. That's pretty good. For reference, Chris Tyree was ranked the first overall all-purpose back by, I believe, 247, potentially rivals. I don't remember exactly. And we know how good Tyree is. And Price is a lot bigger than Tyree, but if he has similar traits, it's always a beautiful thing. So we'll just continue here. Offer-wise, we'll mention these before I go to the ESPNs. I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video. I'm sorry. He did pick Notre Dame over some pretty good competition here. We went up against some good schools. A decent amount of offers. Some notable ones being Texas was also kind of listed as warm by some places. They were in the mix. Stanford was in the mix. Oklahoma State was in the mix. But then when you're talking about just pure offers, there's the bigger, Auburn offered, big school name. Some Big Ten schools in Minnesota. But the biggest one, USC offered, our rival, and also a pretty good program when it comes to recruiting, so they're legit. And Ohio State had an offer for them, which maybe I don't know how much of it was quote unquote committable or how serious they were, but there was an offer there. So, Ohio State thought he was good enough to play for them. He's good enough to play for us, basically. Sometimes it's nice to get a balance. You look at their recruiting rankings and their offer sheet, because sometimes you'll see, in this case, it's still a 4-star with a good offer sheet. USC, Texas, Ohio State being the main ones. But plenty, it's all Power 5, a lot of Power 5 programs on that offer list. 20 offers is what Rival shows. But sometimes you'll use that for like a 3-star kid. Like there's I think it's DJ Wozniak or something dumb like that. I'm sorry if I probably pronounced that name wrong. But he's a 3-star defensive end in this 22 class who Notre Dame's been making progress with. That kid has like 30-plus offers. And you're like, oh, he's only a 3-star. But then you look at that offer sheet and he's got, Clemson, Ohio State, freaking Alabama. A lot of the big top schools are after that kid. And so it's not the same with Price because he's already a 4-star. But I mean, there's some schools you look at and you say, yeah, it's kind of credible there. And the fact Ohio State and Texas and USC were after him, it means, the talent there is real. And Notre Dame is not the only school that has noticed it. ESPN is actually the best grade I've seen for him. ESPN's given him the most respect out of any of these services. At an 83, I don't know what their scale works for the numbers, but he is still a 4-star, 13th running back in their rankings, I believe, is what it says here positionally, and the 163rd ranked player in the ESPN Junior 100. So he's not even just like barely top 200 in his. He's pretty entrenched in the top 200 in ESPN's 163. So ESPN gives him the most respect there. You love to see it. He's just overall, guys, he's a solid prospect, top 200 player in composite in ESPN. Numbers-wise, I do have stats for you guys so you can actually see those. Not see them, but in 2018, he had 210 carries for 1,421 yards and 16 touchdowns in 10 games. In 2019, he only played 7 games, but he had significantly less carries. I believe injuries were involved in his 2019 season, just so you know. But in 129 carries, he had 621 yards and 3 touchdowns just in the 7 games. So kind of a quieter year in 2019, but like I said, injuries were involved, and he still averaged 4.8 yards per carry. I think we should mention here, from what I've seen, he's played pretty tough competition. Texas high school football in general is a tough place to play, but I think he's played some pretty tough teams throughout his career. And in 2020, this is coming off a very solid year again with 174 carries for 1,145 yards, 6.6 yards per carry, which is awesome. You love to see 6.8, 2018, 6.6 in 2020. Those are good averages right there. 18 touchdowns, and he also had 28 catches for 219 yards, showcasing his pass catching abilities, which is always good to have. That's part of why, I'd imagine it's part of why Rivals has him as an all-purpose back. They believe he has some utility there out of the backfield, stuff like that. Just show you kind of stuff he says. This is one report. They're saying he plays like a pure runner, capable of making plays between tackles and in the perimeter, as well as the pass game. Highly productive back. Natural running back that shows good patience, vision, and decision-making. Apparently he's super patient, so that's... this one scout said it's really what he likes. He lets blocks set up and he makes his read before playing and exploding. That's awesome. That's something Le'Veon Bell-esque patience is something that can only be done when you have a good O-line, and when you do and you pair them together, it is highly effective. Obviously, Bell's not what he used to be, but on those years with the Steelers when they had a very good offensive line, Bell was an incredibly patient player for him, and he had fantastic seasons with the Steelers. I kind of view that scouting report makes me think something very similar. Obviously, Notre Dame, we are offensive line. You still, I don't care what anyone says, we will have we should, knock on wood or whatever. Yeah, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx this team, but, a couple years from now when Price gets playing time, our offensive line still should be incredibly solid. And if you have a back like Price who is patient enough to let those maulers do their jobs, it could lead to a great relationship between the O-line and the running back and lead to a crap ton of yards. So that's something positive to think about for the future of this team. He doesn't try to juke all the time, but he's efficient, is what it says. He can make defenders miss in space if he needs to and shows impressive balance. Sorry, I'm just reading a lot of stuff yet. Compared a bit to Chris Tyree. Runs hard, won't shy away from contact. So like I said, he's a physical player, not the biggest guy. Obviously, like I said, at 5'11", 180. He can put on some weight in a college football training camp. I don't think they'll have him put on a ton of weight, though, because, they'll take away from some of his speed that he has. Overall, though, guys, sorry, I always ramble. I went on a little long, but I hope that you know a little more about Jadarian. I gave you, some basic stuff, height, weight, went to Denison High School, Denison, Texas. Stats, who else was offering him, and kind of just a bit of some opinions on the player right here. I can give you guys one last thing before we leave. I'll give you a scouting report from 247. Gabe Brooks, the Midland region recruiting analyst, projected him as a Power 5 starter. So like I said, yes, I do think Price could become a starter for us in the future. Oh, also I should mention, this doesn't appear to be the only. Notre Dame still seems interested in adding two running backs in this class. So securing one already this early in the process is awesome. It means hopefully, they could take a flyer on kind of a developmental guy like a Zach Evans, a low 3-star with plenty of potential, or they could push even harder for some of those top backs in the class that they're interested in to go along with Price. But Price could very well be a starter for us in the future. 247 actually compared him to Ty Chandler, who is currently with North Carolina, a very talented running back who transferred to NC from Tennessee, I believe. I'll read you this scouting report. This is... One sec. I want to see if they have more. I think there was a newer one. Yeah, on February 5th, 2021, actually, is when this one was written. Adequate height, with a surprisingly long, lean frame. So, yeah, he's only 5'11", but he looks like a long, he's just long, like his arms and stuff, just based off what I've seen. Obviously, I don't have the exact measurements for you, but he seems like a long player. Lean frame that, while narrow through the course, should fit more in a mass college strength, fill more mass in a college strength training program. So, like I said, obviously, these college programs are built different. They can help you build into your body a bit more. That's why sometimes you take projects on players who may not be developed physically, because you have faith that you can make them. You can kind of mold them into their role that you want. Great length, +5 wingspan relative to height. A bit unique play style relative to initial impression of build. Strong runner who shows impressive functional strength to continually run through arm tackles in the hole at the second level. Aware runner with good instincts and good vision in the box. He presses the line of scrimmage and properly sets up blocks tackle to tackle. Quick-footed in the hole to make the defender miss. Does a good job of cutting up field and avoids unnecessary bounces. Great feel for the cutback. Pairs that close quarters agility to sometimes create his own cutback lanes. Long strider who should have room left to improve long speed. Plants and bursts can improve top-end speeds in the open field. Added juice will foster more big play punch. Solid production. 6.1 yards per carry, trails other high-end backs in the class. May carry a lot of usage mileage at college. Caught significantly more passes as a junior. So his junior season last year, he started catching more balls. That helps kind of view him as a more rounded prospect. A tough-minded runner with impressive instincts and vision, and knows when outfield necessary. Projects to the Power 5 level as back who could potentially become an impact starter. Sorry, I read that kind of fast, but basically they're saying, solid kid. The yards per carry isn't as great as some other players, but also, like I mentioned, there's some tough competition he's playing. basically, it sounds like he's what you'd call. This isn't an insult to other running backs or anything crazy like that. He's a smart runner, is what it seems like. It seems like he gets his yards from analyzing the proper situations. He makes the right plays. He runs the play the way it's supposed to be done. Basically, is what I'm seeing. It says he can kind of improvise, but it seems like he's at his best when he's patient with this offensive line. He lets them make the proper blocks, and he hits that hole the right way. And so it's nice. Not everyone, sometimes obviously if it's not a 5-star running back or something who could probably just do whatever he wanted or something like that, but he is very talented where he can make his own plays, but he's also he's a smart running back who lets this offensive line do its job, which is, to me, it's always been I feel like it'd be our biggest recruiting pitch to a running back if I was a recruiting guy, but hey, come run behind the best offensive line in football. And Price just seems like someone who is perfectly built to run behind a really good offensive line. Just the stuff we already read, good instincts and vision in the box, properly sets up blocks tackle to tackle, quick-footed in the hole to make defenders miss. And was described as incredibly patient. So these are all good traits to have, especially as a running back for Notre Dame. I think this kid, Jadarian Price, will be very impactful for us in the future. Stay tuned, guys, for more Notre Dame recruiting news. I'm also going to continue recapping this 2021 class for you. That running backs video will come out eventually, hopefully in the coming days. I will continue more Steelers content for anyone who found this channel from my last video that blew up. I want to thank everyone so much for that, by the way. It's at like 32 likes and it's gained like 30 subs from that Steelers video, so I really appreciate it. Once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you think Jadarian Price's career at Notre Dame will go down. And if you want to talk about anything Notre Dame 2022 recruiting, feel free to talk to me. Talk about people already committed or maybe some other running backs Notre Dame is looking at. I'll gladly talk about it with any of you. So once again, thank you so much. Please subscribe. Click over here for the playlist of my Notre Dame videos. Over here is the subscribe button, and over here is a random video mine YouTube has decided to recommend for you. Once again, I really appreciate all you guys so much. I love doing this channel, and it's nice to get support. So once again, thank you guys so much. Rambling again. This is K-Mid Preston signing out. Go Irish.